on the periphery of Jewish power. There were teachings with authority, exorcisms of demonic powers, healings and feedings, and the forgiveness of sins. Dare we say, of debt? Their challenges were made to a soulless religion that forgot about the true meaning of Sabbath. There, meals were shared with tax collectors, debtors, and prostitutes. There, a new community was forged. And as always, the caretakers of the holy and the keepers of the status quo, the scribes and priests, the Sadducees and Pharisees and the Herodians, all come together in opposition to Jesus in order to find a way to silence him. This one who truly embodied the radical message of God's justice. They set traps, they challenged his authority, but Jesus continued on the way. For Jesus is always on the way, teaching his followers what it means to be Messiah, to speak truth to power, to show compassion to the crowds, to break down the walls that divide and build bridges that unite, calling disciples and urging them to follow his lead, his life, his way. On the way, on that Tuesday morning, coming into the city, there now is the fig tree, shriveled, dried, dead. Could it be that this fruitless tree, which bracketed the story of the fruitless temple, stands as a metaphor before us? Could it be that this is the mountain which Jesus says can be taken up and thrown into the sea? Can we really be liberated from the powers and principalities that oppress? Will exorcisms and healings still work today? Could this be why Jesus tells us, if you say it, if you believe it, if you act accordingly, it will come to pass? It happened on that Tuesday, upon entering the city where they, the coalition of self-serving holy ones, the keepers of the status quo, were lying in wait. The night before, they had taken counsel on how to kill him, but caution is required, for the crowds are on his side. And so they carefully engage the Holy One after another. They confront, they attack, they challenge, and each in turn falls silent. Silent in the face of the one who teaches with authority. On the way, for Jesus is always on the way, Jesus confronts the caretakers of the systems of oppression. The purity code and its priestly managers, the debt code and its tribal enforcers, all claiming to preserve the sacred, but in reality, only seeking to preserve their own power and privilege. An odd coalition of opponents to God's radical plan, the inclusion and equality of all. At last, all are silenced. Jesus once more leaves behind the Temple Mount and crosses over to the Mount of Olives, where compassion and grace witness to the abiding presence of the kingdom. Yes, it happened on the Tuesday. The fig tree withered, the enemies silenced. Jesus will now turn his focus to his community. His enemies will continue to plot in silence. It happened on the Tuesday.